Hola means hello in Spanish. Welcome back, third graders. My name is Mrs. Tilley, and I'm so excited to be learning with you today. Today we are going to be completing Lesson 11 of Unit 3, CKLA Skills. And in today's lesson, we are going to learn how to write the correct form of a verb or a noun. For this lesson, you will need your skills workbook, paper, and a pencil. This week, we're going to be reviewing the spelling patterns we've learned all through third grade. This week, on your assessment, you will be responsible for knowing the correct form of a verb or a noun that fits in the sentence. Today, we're going to review the different forms of the verbs and the nouns that we've learned so far. And we're going to do this in chunks. The first chunk we're going to review are the verbs. Make sure you have a piece of paper and a pencil so that you can write these words down with me. Go ahead and pause the video now, get your piece of paper, and set up a table just like this one on your paper. Welcome back. Now that you have your paper set up and you've written these words on your paper, let's take a look at how to add ed and ing to each of these spelling words. Take a look at the first two words. We have watch and wish. If I wanted to add the suffix ed and ing to these two words, what do I need to do? Right, you guys have already learned that when we have ch or sh at the end of a word, we can just add the suffix right to the end. Let's go ahead and do that now. Watched, watching. The same thing we will do for wish. Wished, wishing. Remember that when we add the suffix ed to a verb, it makes the action happen in the past. And when we add ing to a verb, it makes the action ongoing or happening presently. Now let's take a look at the word submit. If I want to add the suffix ed or ing to the word submit, what do I need to do? Right, when we have a consonant-vowel-consonant pattern, we need to double the last consonant before adding the suffix. Let's do that now. Submitted, submitting. Now let's take a look at the word raise. Notice how raise ends in an E. And anytime a word ends in an E, we have to drop the final E before adding ed and ing. Now let's do that. Raised, raising. Our last verb is dry. Notice that it ends with a Y. Do you guys remember the rule for adding a suffix to a word that ends in Y? When we add the suffix ed, we need to change the Y for an I. Watch me as I do this. Now the tricky part about this word is, when we're adding ing to a word that ends in Y, we don't have to drop the Y. We just add the suffix ing to the end. Watch me as I do that. So remember, when you're adding ed to a word that ends in Y, you change the Y for an I. But if you're adding ing, you leave the Y. Now let's add s or es to our verbs. Remember, we're not going to do both. We will either add an s or an es. Let's first look at watch. Remember, whenever a word ends in ch, we add es. watches. The same is true when a word ends in sh. We add es to the end. The next word is submit. Anytime a word ends in t, we need to add s as the suffix. Take a look at the word raise. Remember that our rule is anytime a word ends in e, we drop the final e before adding the suffix. So we will add es, but first we'll drop the final e. The next word is dry. Remember, anytime a word ends in y, we have to change the y to an I before adding es. Make sure that you've written each of the spelling words in their forms on your paper. All right, third graders, now it's our favorite part of the lesson. It's time for a brain break and to see Miss Tilly show off some dance moves, which I know you've been dying to see. All right, stand on up out of your chair and dance along with me. Come on, it'll help. Let's do it together. Energized, are you? Okay, now let's get back to work. Go ahead and have a seat so we can learn about nouns. Now we're going to talk about nouns. On your paper, go ahead and make the chart that I have on the board. We have singular nouns and plural nouns, so make sure you have a spot for both on your paper. And go ahead and write the spelling words for the week. Now let's take a look at how to make these singular nouns plural nouns, which means more than one. Let's first start by taking a look at book. How can we make book more than one? Do we need to add s or es? Right, we just add s. Notice with puppy, it ends with what letter? Right, y. And anytime a word ends in y, we need to change it for an I before adding es. The next word, remember, we have an F. And when we have an F, we have two things we need to keep in mind. First of all, we need to change the F to a V before adding es. And also, we need to remember this is a consonant, vowel, consonant, E. So we're going to have to drop the final E before adding es. Watch me as I do those things. Notice how I'm changing the F to a V, and I'm not adding another E. I'm dropping the E before adding es. The next word is child. And do you remember what's special about child? It's an irregular plural noun, which means we need to change the word completely. So what's more than one child? Children. The same is true for the word person. It's an irregular plural noun. So what is more than one person? Right, people. Great job reviewing all of these spelling words today. Remember, you're going to be responsible for picking the correct form of the word on your assessment, so make sure you're studying hard. This week, you have 2 new challenge words. And remember, challenge words are words that do not follow normal spelling patterns, so we just need to memorize how they're spelled. Our words this week are across and idea. Across, like Maggie went across the street to play with Simon. An idea, like I have no idea what the answer is. Be sure to include these challenge words in your studying this week so you can be a pro with these 2 words. Great job reviewing all the spelling patterns we've talked about so far in 3rd grade. You guys are working really hard, and I want to check in to see how you're feeling. Are you feeling red, confused about anything? Yellow, still need a little more help? Or green, you're good, you know how to spell these words, and you're ready to move on. Now remember, if you're feeling red or yellow, to let your teacher know so they can help you be a pro with all of the spelling patterns. I'm so excited and so proud of all that you've done in this lesson and can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye guys!